That's an old video I published today, about 10 years old. But I revisited the footage because I think that horse is a quite interesting example of the mild bullies we can meet all around the world these days. Vertige, a mixed French and quarter horse gelding, was 5 when his owner asked me to help. His horse was becoming dangerous on the trail, sometimes refusing to move, or sometimes moving into the wrong direction, raising his head and getting tense, and more often rearing when he was dissatisfied. On the ground, he was disrespectful. Having no notion of safe space, he would walk directly into human beings around him. He did not trust anyone, was head shy, nervous around the lead rope or the flag, and when things started to get too demanding for him, he would just rear and scare people off. This is a real potential for danger, and I covered this topic in another video. I put the link in the description. Finally, he was stubborn. I would not move an inch toward you if he didn't want to. Or, on the contrary, when he wanted to get on the saddle, he would not stop moving. In a nutshell, he'd do everything he could to avoid the presence of humans. Not that he was a bad horse, he was actually quite nice. But he didn't trust humans. He didn't think we had anything valuable to offer him. And that was my job with Vertige, to let him know that we could be reliable partners, humans on which he could count, that we could offer him peace, comfort, and security. About a week later, a little more than 7 hours of work, we can see how Vertige has changed. His behavior is already quite different. The main explanation is trust. He knows I will not hurt him. He also knows I will not give up. I showed him that I was looking for softness and lightness, but that I was capable of firmness if necessary. That is how we can build a relation based on respect. Practically speaking, my first objective was to work on the fundamentals with him. First, backing up and lunging to teach him respect of my safety bubble. On the saddle, I used a lot of lateral flexion to prevent him from walking away from me, and a lot of soft feel to help him find the right balance, to feel at ease and confident with the rider on his back. Then, desensitizing to my hand, to the rope, and to the flag to let him control fear and trust my judgment. Finally, the most important part of my job back then was to teach Verti's owner how to handle his horse. This man has the greatest quality all riders need to become good with horses: humility. He knew something was wrong with his horsemanship, asked for help, and was ready to learn new ways to communicate with his horse. We spent that last session reviewing all the basics he needed to control his horse, but most importantly to gain Verti's trust and become a good leader.
Yeah.